Okay, magandang gabi ho sa inyong lahat. Thank you for waiting, and ako gusto ko magpasalamat sa inyong lahat for joining me. Actually, every time I plan a webinar, natatakot ako na walang mag-a-attend, and salamat na pinanlakan nyo ko na sumali kayo dito. But anyway, I'm really hoping that I can bless you this evening. So ang gagawin natin, I will first give you certain principles. And then I've actually allotted an hour for question and answer because ang desire ko is to really be able to help all of you. So, um, I will give you the principles today lang. Let me just explain ano itong demystified and clarified. What we will just do tonight will be to understand yung mga maling turo, ano ang tama, so that I can prepare you to become entrepreneurs. The real entrepreneur training will be on October 16. And ang hope ko, I can prepare you. Now, pag hindi ka magiging entrepreneur, this will be a good introduction. So ulitin ko, maraming salamat for joining me. One of my desire is to be able to share God's story and God's principles sa ibang tao. So for this evening, you give me the chance. So maraming salamat. But before I go to the presentation, just allow me to pray first. Okay? Pray muna tayo. Heavenly Father, maraming salamat for just moving these people to join this training. Alam ko, Lord, ikaw nagpadala sa kanila for a special reason. And whatever that reason you have for them, sana, Lord, matupad yan today. Alam ko, marami sa kanila may tanong sa negosyo, sa trabaho nila. Sana, Father, the principles that you have taught me will minister to them. And I ask, dear God, fill us with your spirit. Fill me with your spirit that I may speak your wisdom. Fill them with your spirit so that they may understand and be able to apply everything that they will learn. We thank you, Lord. I thank you for Lloyd and Jade for continually helping me. I pray that you bless them in return. In Jesus' name we pray. Okay? Okay na tayo? Can you give me, okay? Pwede na tayo magsimula? Okay, let me just go and share my screen, okay? Sandali lang may set up lang ako. Okay, as I said sa inyo kanina, I entitled this Entrepreneurship Demystified and Clarified kasi ang dami kong napapansin na maling turo about entrepreneurship na imbes makatulong, nakakasakit sa mga tao. Ako, ang dream ko, sana matulungan ko lahat ng Pilipino mag-succeed. Ang rason, sayang yung pera nila. One of my biggest burden are the OFWs. Alam mo, nagsakripisya sila, pumunta abroad. Pag uwi, nauubos yung pera. Pag nagnegosyo sila, hindi nila alam anong gagawin. Minsan nasa scam pa. So, my burden is to help. Ang gusto ko, if I can do that, is to bring all of them home by just teaching them how to be able to grow their money. One of the person that I'm really proud of today is Gemma Espeleta. I don't know kung nabasa niyo yung kwento niya sa Facebook ko, sa Facebook page ko. The story is just amazing. In fact, we're trying to do a video para sa kanya kasi very inspiring. But I don't have time to discuss that today. So, let me just give you a little background of myself. Kung hindi ko alam kung kilala niyo ako lahat, but today I am a farmer and an entrepreneur. I stay in Bukidnon. I grow high value crops like lettuce and other yung mga kale, sugar beet. I grow different livestocks. I grow hogs, I grow goats, I grow chicken. So marami kaming gino-grow na iba-iba sa farm. However, I want you to know that I'm not from Bukidnon. Dayo lang ho ako dyan. I moved my family in 1998 to Bukidnon, and pagdating ho namin, wala kaming kaibigan, wala kaming pera, wala kaming kamag-anak. And so it was a very difficult move, pero I just believe na it was God who brought us there. I want you to know nagsimula kami walang pera because many people believe na pera ang dapat importanteng simula ng negosyo, which I'll explain later. Aside from being known as a farmer and an entrepreneur in Bukidnon, I'm also known as a person who teaches business using the Bible as a reference. Hindi ko sinadya yan. Hindi ko sinadya. Ang kwento namin is the first 4 years was very, very tough. Hindi ko mapakita yung negosyo. And because I was desperate and was depressed, I started to read the Bible only for comfort. Then mamaya na-realize ko, the people we call prophets are all businessmen or mostly businessmen. Abraham, Joseph, Isaac. So sabi ko one day sa sarili ko, Dong, total wala nang mawawala sa iyo kasi wala na lahat. Walang mawawala if you now read the Bible as a business book, which I did. And many things has happened since then. So, magkukwento ko sa inyo ng ibang kwento na nangyari sa amin. But basically, my business grew because of two things. One, I used the Bible as a business reference, and I used the plant as a model for growing business. And that started when I was telling God, Lord, tulungan mo naman ako. Mapaganda yung negosyo. Sana kumita naman para mabigyan ko ng mas maginhawang buhay pamilya ko. When I was asking God, what should I do? God answered me in this verse. Genesis 1:28. Where sabi diyan, God blessed them and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it and rule over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the sky, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. Like many of you, akala ko ang to be fruitful means magpadami ng anak. And so that this verse did not really attract me before. But when I was asking God, mga 4 years na kami sa bukid noon, when I was asking God, Lord, what should I do? When I saw the word be fruitful, imbis na bata ang nakita ko tanim. The plant of how it started from the seed, lumaki, biglang namunga. Na-realize ko, from that verse, God is showing us a model of how He wants us to live our lives. So since then, I have been studying the ways of the plant and then relating it to my business. And the ways of the plant is the strongest parallelism to business and even to life. I don't have time to explain to you the plans today because I will do that in the main seminar. Ang gusto ko lang is I'll still use it to show you na yung tinuturo sa atin about entrepreneurship, maraming mali because it violates the principle of the plant. Let me give you a little fact about plants. Pag nagtatanim ka, gusto mo maraming bunga. Am I correct? Gusto mo, parating sigurado maraming bunga. So people are always so concerned about yung bunga. Alam mo, this is what I discovered about the plant. If you want to have a lot of fruits, you should not worry about the fruit. Instead, you should worry about how to grow a healthy plant because fruits are just natural byproduct of a healthy plant. Narinig niyo ba yon? Ulitin ko ha. If you want a plant to become fruitful, do not worry about the fruit. Instead, your worry should be, how do I grow a healthy plant so that it will automatically bear fruit? Now, how do I relate this to business? Sabi ko sa inyo, when I started doing business, hirap na hirap ako kumita. Kasi ang parati kong iniisip, paano ba ako kikita? When I studied the ways of the plant, I changed the system. I changed my approach. I would now focus on growing a healthy plant. Yung tanim, automatic na namumunga. May tanong ako sa inyo. Sino sa inyo gusto maraming pera? Anybody? Can you raise your hand? Sino sa inyo gusto maraming pera? Okay, mabuti na lang. Karamihan sa inyo, honest. Yung iba, ayaw mag-raise ng hands. Kunwari, humble tayo. Pero gusto natin lahat ng maraming pera, di ba? Pero ang tanong, paano natin kukunin yon? Paano tayo magkakaroon ng maraming pera? So I can see, no, may mga kaibigan ako sa network market, multi-level network marketing, insurance, and meron kayong negosyo. The reason why hirap na hirap tayo kumita, kasi ang focus natin sa dulo. Like for example, you are in sales, you sell insurance, you sell products, multi-level network marketing. Ang goal mo, makabenta ka agad. Dapat sana, alagaan mo yung kliyente because yung benta automatic na darating. Alam nyo, I want you to understand that in life, everything is a natural byproduct. Gusto nyong yumaman. It is a natural byproduct of working hard and doing the right things. Yung iba, inuuna yung dulo. Some people would even try to get rich quickly by buying lotto. Supposing nanalo ka sa lotto, sigurado kang magyayaman ka for a while. Pero pag hindi mo alam anong gagawin sa pera mo, mauubos din yan. So I'd rather na, maski hindi ako nanalo sa lotto, alam ko magpadami ng pera. And that's my hope this October. Sana this October, I can teach all of you how to make money maski wala kang pera. Now, let me now go to entrepreneurship. Most of you, I can see mga millennials, no? Salamat for joining. And today, ang dami-daming gusto maging entrepreneur. It's amazing. But to the millennials, do you know that up to the 1990s, people do not want to be an entrepreneur? You know, when I was working for HP, I did not want to be an entrepreneur. Bakit? Kasi mahirap eh. And there were other reasons bakit ayaw namin maging entrepreneur. Dati, when you go to business school, ang pinag-uusapan, business management, MBA. Okay, MBA, di ba? Masters of Business Administration. So ang usapan nun is how to run a company as an employee. And ngayon, pinagtatawanan natin sila. Grabe, gusto empleyado. Bakit naman ko? So ayaw niyo maging empleyado. Uy, maganda empleyado nun. Sa panahon ko, maganda empleyado. Bakit? May lifetime employment eh. Do you know, during our time, gusto ng kumpanya i-retain you. Tapos kung uutang ka, ang magagaranti kumpanya. Ang gusto ng mga kumpanya doon, maiwan ka. We have a different concept before. Okay? Anong sama ng lifetime employment? In fact, during maraming kumpanya noon, hindi ka kailangan mag-ipon. Kasi meron silang providence fund. Meaning, yung kumpanya nag-iipon para sa kanya. So, bakit mo pa gusto maging negosyante? In fact, there's this person named Michael Freeman who explained it, bakit mahirap maging negosyante. Sabi niya, who in their right mind would choose to be an entrepreneur? The barriers to success are virtually unlimited and most startups fail as a result. Entrepreneurs have lower initial earnings, lower long-term earnings, greater work stress, and more psychosomatic health problem than employees. And I understand that. You see, nung nagsimula ako even today, ako ang huling sisweldo. Ang unang sisweldo, tao ko. Kasi, baka iwanan ako pag hindi ko sila sweldohan. Ang empleyado, sigurado kagad yung kita nila. So kaya nga, the entrepreneur must be willing to, maski kumita yung kumpanya, maliit yung kanya. Especially pag nagpapalaki pa siya ng negosyo. And this is the picture of true entrepreneurship. And then look at how Michael Freeman ended it. Sabi niya, by conventional standard, choosing to be an entrepreneur is an exercise of bad judgment. Can you imagine? So kayo mga millennial, umuwi na kayo, tapusin na natin to. Susoli ko yung 200 ninyo because if you want to be an entrepreneur, it is bad judgment. Now, I want you to become entrepreneurs. Kaso lang, kailangan natin maintindihan ano ang tamang approach. Pero yung sinabi ni Michael Freeman, nadaanan ko yun. And the reason why I share my story is because I want people to have the proper expectation of entrepreneurship. I want all Filipinos to become entrepreneurs. That's my burden. Tama si Michael Freeman, mahirap. Pero may tamang paraan. And that's my hope today. Kung dati kami, ayaw namin magnegosyo, bakit all of a sudden, karamihan ng tao gusto na maging entrepreneur? What happened in the past? And why the change? Let me share with you bakit mas marami na ngayong gusto mag-entrepreneur. When it started, it was not by choice. It was by circumstances. What do I mean? In the year 2000 or late 1990s, globalization happened. Globalization meaning all doors are open. Pero ito nangyari. Yung kumpanya sa US, Pwede na magtayo ng kumpanya sa Pilipinas, sa China, sa Taiwan, pwede na. Okay? So ngayon, yung malalaking kumpanya, pinapatay niya yung maliliit. So yung maliliit na kumpanya now have to fire their employees. The employees were forced to go into business, not by choice but by circumstances. Pagkatapos, ito pa isa pang nangyari. If you are manufacturing in Europe, mas mura noon, hindi pa sikat ang China noon, mas mura mag-produce sa Asia. Okay, sa Southeast Asia. So minove nila production nila sa Southeast Asia. So that is good for Southeast Asia. However, that was very bad for Europe. Kasi yung mga tao nila nawalan ng trabaho. So ano ngayon ang gagawin nila? They were forced to go into entrepreneurship. Nung nag-succeed sila, sabi nila, bakit pa ako magiging empleyado? Kaya ko pala. Totoo yun. Pero hindi sila lahat nag-succeed. Maraming nasaktan. Kasi nga, hindi tama ang approach natin sa entrepreneurship. And I'll explain to you ano yung maling approach. The other driver of entrepreneurship, aside from globalization, are these guys. Di ba? Steve Jobs, Jack Ma, Henry C. Yun ang naisip ng mga tao. Mga dropout yan eh. Di ba si Steve Jobs drop out on the second year. Si Jack Ma, while he graduated, Jack Ma was very poor. He was just an English translator. Si Henry C. drop out also of college. So people started to think, ay, kung kaya nila, kaya ko rin. In fact, some people brought it to a higher level, maski may pera sila, they drop out. Gusto nila gayahin si Steve Jobs, maski kaya pa nila mag-aral. Bakit ba nag-drop out si Henry C? Wala siyang pera eh. Ang nabasa ko, nag-aral siya sa FEU ba yun o sa FIATI. Nag-drop out siya, wala siyang pera. Nagsimula siya magnegosyo. Okay? So some people will just drop out na, siguro kikita ko. Don't do that. School is still good. But this became our heroes. Na? Aside from globalization, ito yung heroes natin ngayon, ginagaya natin. Pero meron niya silang kalaban ng mga heroes. The only other set of heroes na will compete with these guys are these guys. 'Di ba? Yan yung mga heroes niyo, 'di ba? Yan yung parating yung pinapanood. Kung hindi man sila Henry C ang gusto niyo, si Spider-Man, si Iron Man, 'di ba? Those are our heroes. So those are the two sets of heroes. So feeling ko, that's the driver of entrepreneurship today. Globalization at saka those heroes, those entrepreneurial heroes. The reason why I'm doing this series is because I need you to understand na matatagalan ang pag-recover ng economy. Yung mga malalaking kumpanya, it would take some time before they can hire again. Kasi nasaktan masyado sa COVID, masyado nang matagal. So feeling ko, it would take us a long time. Kung gusto mo maging empleyado, medyo matatagalan. Makahanap na matino. So gusto ko, maturuan ko na lang kayo mag-negosyo. Hopefully, I can help you generate income that will not only bless you, but bless your community. This entrepreneurship concept today is supported by a lot of people. Lahat, government, academy, supporting. In fact, there is such a concept called the entrepreneur ecosystem. The entrepreneur ecosystem will tell you that there are colleges that teaches you. There are people that will invest in you. There are banks where you can borrow money. So may magtuturo, may magpapahiram. So the whole world is set up for entrepreneurship, pati Pilipinas. However, may concern ako. In spite of the fact that the whole world is building an entrepreneurial ecosystem, alam ba nyo na according to a Bloomberg study, 8 of 10 entrepreneurs, 8 of 10 businesses fail in the first 18 months of its operation. Do you understand what that's saying? Meaning, if there's 10 of you, 8 sa inyo mawawalan ng pera. Do you want that? Gusto ba niyo mawala ng pera? Pero yun ang statistics eh. Kung 10 kayo, huwag kayong mag-alala. 2 sa inyo kikita. 8 sa inyo mawawala ng pera. Now, is that a good statistic? Ayoko yun. Ang gusto ko matulungan kayo. Gusto ko, 8 ang kikita. Kung may malulugi, 2. Kung pwede, 10 will succeed. And that is my goal in life. And I believe that is a burden God has put in my heart. And the reason why He allowed me to go through all my pains. So this is a study from the US. And because 80% of businesses crash and fail, many entrepreneurs today are going through mental health problems. You know, a couple of years ago, I was in Ortigas. I was giving a seminar. And then there was this... pwede paki-mute muna yung mga mic ninyo. There was this UP teacher. After the class, she stood up and said, sabi niya, Sir Dong, have you heard of this mental health issue among millennials? Sabi ko, hindi pa. Sabi niya, there's now a medical study there's a medical study studying millennials as they struggle through mental health issues. And sometimes they go blind. I don't know kung nakita na kayo ng ganon. Pero meron daw nangyayari ngayon, mga bata, they go blind because of so much stress. Oh, gusto natin entrepreneurship. Akala natin maganda entrepreneurship. And many people will even fight for it. Pagtatawanan nyo ang empleyado kasi wala silang ambisyon. Pero today, the young entrepreneurs, they're suffering through mental health issue. Iba pa nga nagsusuicide. When I was trying to study what causes this, I saw this article. And it said, one of the biggest contributor to mental disorder among entrepreneurs is the financial risk of starting one own business from scratch. Okay? The financial risk. To many of you, business is about taking great financial risk. And I always hear that. So we define business or entrepreneurship na susugal ka. Mamaya I'll show you, hindi ako sumugal. Kasi wala akong perang pangsugal. I will show you how we started from scratch without money. And there's a better way of doing business. Not about taking great financial risk. Now, bakit ganito ang mindset ng tao about business? It was because of the schools. I don't know kung nag-MBA kayo. Today, halos wala ng MBA. Meron silang bago. Master of Entrepreneurship. I don't know kung meron nag-enroll sa inyo. Today, kasi many more people are entrepreneurs, there are now more classes about Master of Entrepreneurship. May tanong ako. Sino ngayon ang nagtuturo ng Masters of Entrepreneurship? Yun magtanong si Maris, no, kung pwede ba mag-screenshot? Of course. In fact, I will email you the PDF copy of my presentation to help you. Kung gusto niyo mag screenshot, okay rin. But I will email that so that I can help you. Okay? So, ulitin ko yung tanong ko. Sino ngayon ang nagturo doon sa Master in Entrepreneurship? Sino? Di nagturo sa Masters in Business Administration. Naintindihan nyo? Yung nagturo ngayon sa Master in Entrepreneurship, meron ba silang sariling negosyo nila? May sariling negosyo? Wala. Nagturo sila when they were managers in the corporation, nagturo sila ng business administration because may experience sila. When the world shifted to entrepreneurship, sila pa rin ang nagturo. Ang tanong ko, ano ang experience mo? So ngayon, kinuha nila yung concept ng business administration, pinipilit nila sa entrepreneurship. And that's the reason why entrepreneurship is defined this way today. Anong defined this way? Sabi niya, it's the activity of setting up a business, taking on financial risk in the hope of profit. That came from the Oxford Dictionary. So kung titingnan mo, there are two things important in doing business. Sabi niya, you should know how to set up a business, knowledge, and you should have money. So magkakaroon ka ng negosyo. So ito ngayon ang definition natin. Ang nag-develop nito yung mga teachers ngayon sa entrepreneurs school who used to be teachers of business administration. So dalawang bagay ang kailangan daw natin to have a business. To know how to set it up, and then the willingness to take financial risk. Now, friends, let me say this. If business is about taking great financial risk, then I am not an entrepreneur. Ulitin ko ha. If business is about taking great financial risk, then I am not an entrepreneur. Bakit? Kasi nung nagsimula kami, I don't know if you watch my YouTube channels and seen my story, some of you attended my seminars, but we started in a simple container van. Kinento ko doon sa mga seminars ko that the reason why 20-foot container van lang meron kami was because I resigned. I forfeited my retirement, and that was the only thing I could afford. In order to start a farm in Bukidnon, we borrowed money from the family of my wife to buy this land. If you've been to Bukidnon, most people will say, ang ganda ng Bukidnon, all green. And I always have to correct them. Ang pangit ng Bukidnon kasi puro kugon. And the Philippines, most of the Philippines, puro kugon. Now, I say pangit ang Bukidnon kasi puro kugon because kugon is a symbol of desolation. What does that mean? Pag nakakita ka ng kugon, walang kwenta lupa dyan. Kasi kugon ang tubo-tubo. Pag pinutol mo ang kugon, sinunog mo ang kugon, alam mo ano lalabas? Kugon pa rin. The only way to kill kugon is to improve the soil. And that was the property that we were able to buy because we had very little money. In fact, the money that we bought to be able to start a pig farm was not enough. And kaya hirap na hirap. Naintindihan ko yung startup. I wish I could teach all OFWs when they come home para hindi sayang yung pera nila. Today, let me show you what we have. The container van, ginawa kong one-bedroom house. 4 kami, 2 anak ko. And we used to sleep in one bed. Yung nakita nyo yung extension, yan yung sala namin at saka yung kusina, nasa likod niyan, container van. But because of the things that I learned from the Bible, the things that God revealed to me, which I hope to reveal to you in the next many weeks, after applying the things I learned, God gave us this house. Can you imagine? We came from a container van to a much better house. Meron akong panaginip noon, pero hindi kasing laking ganyang bahay. My dream was very simple. Remember the barren land that I showed you? Today, it is a forest. This is a 22-year-old forest. When we were growing it, hindi kami makahiram ng pera. Bakit kami hindi makahiram ng pera? For a number of reasons. One, wala kaming pang-collateral. Okay, wala kaming other resources. Ang pangit yung lupa. Second, wala kaming kamag-anak o kaibigan who would guarantee our loan kasi wala kaming kamag-anak dito eh. Pero may mas importante pangatlong rason. Alam mo ako, I came from the corporate world, naniniwala ako na paglagyan mo ng pera ang isang negosyo, lalaki mabilis yan. However, my wife came from a very conservative family. The family of my wife is relatively rich, pero they're very conservative. Ayaw nila umutang. Eh ako, gusto ko siya bigyan ng magandang buhay. So sabi ko, utang tayo. Ayaw niya. Okay? So nag-aaway kami noon kasi gusto ko umutang, ayaw niya. So finally, nung napuno na ako, sabi ko sa kanya, pag hindi ka mag-submit sa akin, ako ang magsasubmit sa iyo. O di tapos ang kwento, di ba? Wala nang away. But joke lang yan. My wife is very submissive, but you know, this is what happened. When I finally accepted na hindi ako makautang, I became very, very creative. If you've attended my other seminar, I always talk about abilities. And in fact, we'll talk about that mamaya. Pero abilities is creativity. The power to be able to produce something maski wala. Ability. Alam mo, if I talk to people who are starting business, pratikong gusto na magsimula sila ng maliit. Kasi mas madali yon. And hindi maraming pera. Kasi hindi perang importante sa negosyo, kundi ability. Now, let me now go to the main topic, which is entrepreneurship, demystified and clarified. I will explain to you anong maling turo and then explain to you kung anong tama. Have you heard of this principle? Knowledge is power. Who agrees with this? Anybody? Who agrees with that? Knowledge is power. Naku, naiya na kayo. Oh. Meron, no? Salamat, no? But most people believe that. I used to believe that. I really believe knowledge is power before. When I became a farmer, I learned knowledge is useless unless you know how to use it. Naintindihan ba yung sinasabi ko? Ulitin ko ha. Knowledge is useless unless you know how to use it. And this is one of the reasons why young entrepreneurs fail. They go to school. They study BS entrepreneurship, masters in entrepreneurship. So they have a lot of knowledge. And then kala nila, yung theory nila will always work. It will not always work. Because yung teacher nyo, walang entrepreneur training, o minsan naman sa setting lang ninyo, hindi siya nag-work. So, how do you convert now knowledge into, how can you now use your knowledge and give it power when you convert it to ability? How do you do that? By actually doing it and learning from your mistakes. What do I mean? Bigyan ko kayo example. Pag nung nasa HP ako, pag pinagalitan ko yung tao ko, tatampo yan. Bukas babalik yan kasi kailangan niya ng sweldo. Alam mo sa bukid nun, pag binagalitan ko yung tao ko, magtatampo yan. Tapos hindi na magpapakita sa akin yan. Hindi na papasok yan. Merong prinsipyo ang Bisaya sa Mindanao. Kung may Bisaya dito. Ang prinsipyo nila, bahala ng magutom. Makapangluod lang. Alam niyo yan, luod means magtampo. Bahala na maski magutom ako, basta makapagtampo lang ako. Ganyan dito. So one time sabi ko, mauubos tao ko nito. So I had to find ways na pwede ko silang pagalitan na hindi sila alis. Alam niyo ginawa ko? Kumuha ako ng isang manager. Prinomote ko yung isang manager. Pag gusto kong pagalitan yung isang tao, sabihin ko sa kanya, pagalitan mo yan. So pinagalitan. Magtatampo, uuwi. Pag pauwi na siya, abangan ko siya. Pag abang ko, hihimasin ko, kakausapin ko. So ngayon ako hero. Ang visit yung manager, di ba? Tamo, nagkaroon ako ng ability. I converted knowledge into ability. But that only happens when you go in business. You become very, very creative. You understand? Knowledge is useless unless you know how to use it. So what I'd like you to do when you start your own business, take the knowledge you learned from school and from experience, and when you start, maliit lang muna kasi marami tayong dapat pag-aralan. I am not saying knowledge is useless. But the power comes when you convert it into ability. Okay? The next fallacy is money begets money. Narinig nyo na yon? Na madaling gumawa ng pera pag may pera ka na. Totoo ba yon? Okay. This was the first business principle na tinuro sa akin ng presidente ng kumpanya noon nung tinatrabahuan ko. Sabi niya sa akin, Dong, you work hard and save a lot because madaling gumawa ng pera pag may pera ka na. Akala ko naman totoo yun. So mamaya, when I became a farmer, I would invest in big time, mga vegetable project, malakihan. And I would always lose money. So I started to think, akala ko ba pag nag-invest ka, lalaki pera mo? Let's study this concept. Money begets money. Supposing meron kang 10,000 piso. Ilagay natin sa isang baol. Ilagay natin doon ng 10 taon. Pagbalik mo, magkano siya? Magkano? 10,000 pa rin. O akala ko ba money begets money? Na lumalaki siya. Sabi, siya doon walang interes eh. O sige, sige. Lagay natin ngayon sa bangko, yung 10,000. Pagbalikan mo yon in 10 years after, lumaki hindi. Sabi niyo, lumaki, hindi lumaki oy. Bakit? Maski may tubo siya, inflation is bigger than the interest of the bank. So nawalan siya ng value. Ang pera, pag linagay mo sa bangko, nawawala ng value. O sige, wag na lang. Itaya na lang natin sa ibang negosyante. Narinig niyo yung mga, anong tawag doon? Crowdfunding? Okay? Meron pa yung inimbita ka mag-invest. Kamusta? Lumaki pera mo? Like for example, OFW, may ininvestan kayo ng farm. Milyon. Ang ganda ng projection. Ngayon, nawala. Bakit? Tumaya kayo sa ibang tao, hindi nyo alam ano abilidad niya. Ang gusto ko ituro sa inyo, paano kayo gumawa ng pera? Kayo mismo, huwag nyo itataya sa ibang tao. Now, I need you to understand this. Money cannot grow on its own because money is an inanimate object or passive object. Naintindihan yung passive object? Patay. Money is dead. It's just a piece of paper. Money cannot grow on its own. In the hands, listen to this ha, in the hand of a prudent person, matalino, money will grow. In the hand of a foolish person, money disappears. Naintindihan nyo? Ang pera lumalaki depende sa nagdadala. So kayo, kamusta? Nagkaroon kayo ng maraming pera. Lumaki hindi. Alam mo, problema ko sa Pilipino, parating walang pera. Bakit? Kasi ang mindset ng Pilipino, pag nagkapera, ang tanong niya, paano ko ba uubusin ito? Di ba yun ang mindset ng Pilipino? Tawag ko sa Pilipino, ubuser. Taga-ubos ng pera niya. Ang negosyante, iba mag-isip. Kami mag-isip, paano ko ba papadamihin ito? Naintindihan niyo yun? Naintindihan pinagkaiba nun? Wag na wag kayo magninegosyo pag ubuser pa yung mindset nyo. Kung empleyado ka tas hindi ka makaipon sa 15 na 30, wag mo isipin na business will save you. It will not, because you will carry that habit. For 4 years, ganun ang habit ko. And kaya ako parati walang pera. I did not waste the money. I will just invest in a big way. Akala ko, pag nagtanim ka, tumubo naman eh. Pangit lang yung lumabas, tas hindi ko nabenta. Nawala yung pera. Ulitin ko ha, money cannot beget money. Money will only grow in the hand of a prudent person. Money disappears in the hand of a foolish person. So, kamusta kayo? Puro Shopee itong narinig ko. Shopee, Lazada, okay? Diba? Kamusta kayo? Imagine wala na kayong mall, nauubos pa rin sweldo nyo. Tapos dati nung may mall, nagpaloko kayo sa SM at saka sa Ayala. You notice, sa SM and Ayala, pag payday sale. Kayo naman nung nagpaloko, tapos hindi na kayo natuto. Pag Shopee at saka Lazada, may payday sale na naman. Bili naman kayo. Pag ganyan ugali nyo, wag muna kayo magdinegosyo, mauubos pera nyo. Ulitin ko ha, money does not beget money. And then there's an important issue, another fallacy. That lack of capital is the reason why small businesses fail. Karamihan ng tao, feeling nila, para makapagnegosyo, kailangan nila ng kapital. Kung maliit, nag-fail sila. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, wala akong kapital eh. Bakit nag-fail ang negosyo? In fact, maski malaki ang kapital, nag-fail because they're violating the concept of investment or capital. In a business, may tinatawag na the 8 forms of capital. Anong 8 forms of capital? I learned this from farming. Sabi sa farming, sa permaculture, there are 8 capitals you need to be able to succeed. You need financial capital, material capital, intellectual capital, moral capital, natural capital, social capital, experiential capital, and cultural capital. Cultural means the local ways. Parang ang mga taga Bicol, iba mag-isip sa mga Ilocano. So pag nasa Bicol ka, maski Ilocano ka, dapat pag-aralan mo yung ugali ng taga Bicol. Experiential capital are the things you learn from your mistakes. Social capital, your friends, your network na bibentahan mo. Natural capital, oxygen, water, your strength. Moral capital, your values. Intellectual capital, your knowledge. Tinan nyo to. May tanong ko sa inyo. Can you go to a store and sabi mo, Manang, pwede ho ba pabili ng 100 pesos worth of knowledge dyan? Pwede ba yon? Ha? O hindi, punta ka sa gym, bayad ka 5,000. Tapos sabi mo doon sa gym, gusto ko lumaki katawan ko ha, nagbayad na ako, pero hindi ako pupunta sa gym. Pwede ba yon? You know, I want you to see, I want you to see all this, intellectual, moral, natural, social, they cannot be bought. They need to be developed. Kung magninegosyo ka, dapat marami kang kaibigan, kilala para makabili. Pag magninegosyo ka, dapat masipag ka para may magtatrabaho. Dapat marami kang experience. Dapat huwag ka ma-discourage pag nagkamali ka because you gain experience. Naintindihan nyo? Hindi lang pera-pera yan. In fact, money is to me it's the least important. Bakit? Kasi kung marunong ako magtrabaho, kaya ko gumawa ng pera. Maski wala akong pera nung simula. Naintindihan nyo yun? Maski wala akong pera ng simula, as long as maganda ugali ko, masipag ako, mabait ako, kukunin ako, empleyado lang ako. Nakagawa ako ng pera, wala pa akong pera. Di ba? To me, employees, very nice position. Bakit? Wala ka namang in-invest eh. Pag uwi mo, meron ka 1,000 sweldo mo. Di ba? So, pwede tayo gumawa ng pera maski walang pera. So, I just need you to understand, money is the least important in all capitals. Kaya, yung mga gusto magnegosyo, I want to give you hope. Yung iba sa inyo nagsasabi, kulang pa hope, kapital ko, kulang pa pera ko. I'll tell you many stories when we do the actual training, entrepreneur's journey. I have a lot of stories. Meron pa akong kwento, banana queue eh. Ngayon, meron na siyang 8 hectares eh. Galing sa banana queue. Okay, paano yon? I'll tell you the story. The fourth thing na gusto kong i-correct about business, sabi nila, those who move fast will dominate. Bilisan mo, sayang ang panahon. Narinig niyo na yun? Bilisan mo kasi sayang ang panahon. There was a story na narinig ko about Manuel L. Quezon, our president, no? I think in the 1960s. 1960, about somewhere 1950s. Sabi niya, nasa kotse sila, sabi niya sa driver niya, boy, wag mong bilisan kasi nagmamadali tayo. Okay ba yon? Labo, no? Okay? Kayo gusto mo yung bilisan, sayang panahon. Sabi ni Manuel L. Quezon, huwag mong bilisan kasi nagmamadali tayo, sayang ang panahon. Bakit yun? Bakit sabi niya huwag mong bilisan? Ano pwede mangyari pag binilisan nila? Maaksidente, magkamali ng liko. Pag na-aksidente, nagkamali ng liko, hindi mas lalong tatagal. Meron akong tanong sa inyo. Meron ba kayong experience na binilisan ninyo kasi sayang panahon eh? Tapos imbis na dumami pera mo, nawala. May nangyari na sa inyo? Karamihan sa atin nangyari. Bakit? Binilisan mo eh. Hindi ka nag-isip mabuti. Today, dati ganyan ako mag-isip. Bilisan mo dong, sayang. Today, this is what I do. Alam ko na yung decision ko. I-delay ko yan ng 3 days to 6 days. 1 week. Bakit ko i-delay? Kasi baka magbago isip ko eh. Baka mayroong dumating na mga information na magbago yung plano. Kasi sa kakabadali ko, baka hindi ko nakita lahat. So I delay. I also try to remove the emotions. Di ba? Pag excited ka, binilisan mo, very emotional ka. So I remove the emotions by delaying my decision. So sabi mo, no? Baka mawala. Ito stand ko dyan. Kung nawala, hindi akin yan. Nawala eh. Minsan may lumapit sa akin, sabi niya, uy, importante ito na opportunity. Kunin mo na ngayon, baka mawala, mabigay sa iba. Sabi ko sa kanya, alam mo kung importante yan, kasi ayaw mo ako magbigyan ng oras para mag-isip, Bibigay mo sa iba, bigay mo lang sa iba. Di ba, importante pala, di na pag-isipan ko. Kaya kayo nasa scam eh. Binibilisan nyo eh. Okay? Mag-ingat-ingat kayo. Huwag mong bilisan, sayang ang panahon. Now what is the proof? A plant. Do you know that for majority of the life of the plant, wala siyang bunga? It will wait until the proper season. Kasi nagpapalaki siya ng abilidad. Sa tamang panahon, mamumunga siya ng kusa. Natural byproduct. Pero hindi to pwede madaliin. Alam ba nyo na merong technology today that can force a plant to bear fruit before its season? Ang ginagawa nun, mag-i-inject ka ng chemical to force it to flower. When lumabas yung flower, lalabas yung bunga. Pero alam ba nyo na ang tanim mamamatay kagad? Kasi pinilit mo siya. Ganon din ang negosyo. I don't know if some of you have been in business, binadali nyo lalong nawala. Kasi marami siyang kailangan i-develop. Huwag mong bilisan kasi sayang ang panahon. And do not worry, I understand how you feel. When I came to Bukidnon in the first 4 years, binibilisan ko masyado. Sabi ko kasi sayang ang panahon. So nagbago na yung mindset ko. Huwag mong bilisan doon kasi sayang ang panahon. In the plant, roots are developed over time. Not overnight. Naintindihan niyo yan? Abilities are developed over time, not overnight. What ability should you develop? Remember the 8 forms of capital? These are things you need to develop. And then I want to emphasize something. There is a 9th capital. Alam mo nyo kung ano yung 9th capital? There's 8 of that, John. There is a 9th capital. Can any one of you guess? What's a 9th capital? Ha? Masyado naman kayong spiritual. Tama si Christine. The 9th capital is time. Many people feel kalaban nila yan. No, I say time is not your enemy. And money is not always your friend. Now, I'm showing you the picture of Warren Buffett, one of the richest man in the world. Look at his story. Tingnan nyo kung kailan siya yumaman. Yumaman siya when he was 59. Eh kayo, gusto nyo yumaman when you're 30. Ang yabang nyo naman, feeling nyo mas magaling kay Warren Buffett. Joke lang yun, okay? Pero di ba minamadali natin, si Warren Buffett na idol ninyo became rich when he was 50. He went through a journey. Now, what is the journey? He was growing his abilities. Time is not your enemy. Time is your friend. Money is not always a friend. So, dun sa mga OFW na kaibigan ko, pag-uwi nyo, I hope you attend my entrepreneurial training, pero pag-uwi nyo, tago nyo yung malaking portion. Gumamit ka lang ng konti. One of the things I will teach in the entrepreneur's journey is the essence of business is to use your money to grow more money. So pwede ka magsimula ng maliit. Sabi mo 100,000. Dapat yung 100,000 na yun, lumaki ng kanya. Kaya wag mo na dagdagan kasi dapat lumaki ng kanya. Ganyan naman nangyari kay Warren Buffett, di ba? Tayo kasi pinag-aaralan natin siya, andito pa siya. Kaya ako gusto ko pag-aralan yung tao kung nung nagsimula siya. I am sharing with you. Paano kami nagsimula? Galing sa maliit. Okay tayo? Okay, let me go back. Okay? Sabi dito, those who move fast will dominate. Don't try to dominate. Alam mo, just recently, may nabasa ako. Sabi sa Google, Google is never the first. There's sometimes the second and the third. Merong nauna sa kanila. Pinaganda lang nila. And now they're the biggest. Okay? It takes time. Roots are developed over time, not overnight. Abilities are developed over time. So time is a friend. It's not an enemy. Okay? And then there is this popular concept. Entrepreneurship is freedom. to do what you want, when you want, and how you want. Narinig nyo to? Ano pag millennial ka, I'm sure yan yung, I want my freedom. Di ba? I want my freedom. Kaya ako magninegosyo, I want my freedom. Let me explain something to you. Supposing nagsisimula yung negosyo mo, tapos nagkaroon ng problema. Ang laki ng problema. Pwede mo ba sabihin sa tao mo, oh, sandali lang ha? Kasi magsa-surfing ako sa La Union eh. Kayo muna mag-solve ng problema na yan. Pagbalik ko at ayusin natin yan. Okay ba yun? Baka pagbalik mo, wala ka ng negosyo. Now, entrepreneurship will eventually give you freedom, but never in the beginning. Because in the beginning, you must be ready to do what the business requires, when and how it requires you. Ano ibig sabihin? At sabi nyo, entrepreneurship is freedom to do what I want. Of course not. Entrepreneurship, especially in the beginning, is your willingness to be a slave to your business. To work 24/7 kung kailangan ng negosyo. Because nobody will do that for you. Are you listening to me? Okay? It will eventually give you freedom. I now have more time for myself today. But I've been in business for the past 20 years. Kayo, mga bata, gusto kagad ng freedom. Meron akong kilala mga entrepreneur eh. Mamaya nasa Boracay. Mamaya nagpa-party. Sabi ko, sino nag-aalaga asikaso ng negosyo mo? Hindi ko lang siya tinanong kasi nakakahiya naman. Pero sabi ko, paano yung negosyo mo? Now, to those who want to become entrepreneurs, be ready. Be ready to be a slave to your business. In fact, an entrepreneur is also a slave to his employee. Many of you left your corporate job because visit kayo sa boss nyo. Ayoko nan may amo. Uy, alam mo ba kung sino amo ko? Ang amo ko, ang empleyado ko. Ang concern ko parati, masisweldohan ko ba yan? Bakit? Pag hindi ko nasweldohan, alis eh. Kayo ba yung mga nang-empleyado sa inyo? Pwede ba sabihin ng kumpanya sa inyo, pwede ba utangin ko yung sweldo mo? Pwede ba yon? Hindi, di ba? So, empleyado. Yung kita ng negosyante, pwede utangin? Of course. Kung walang natira, kami nagtitiis. Pag naging entrepreneur kayo, ganun kayo. Ang unahin mo, empleyado mo. So, who is now the slave? An entrepreneur now becomes the slave of the employees. In fact, ang feeling ko, I work for my employees. I need to make sure may sweldo eh. Oh, are you willing to do that? When you were employees, galit na galit kayo sa boss nyo. Kasi sila lang kumikita. Tingnan natin pag naging entrepreneur na kayo, maintindihan nyo kung sino kumikita. And then, there is another fallacy that I want to also address. May nagsabi, ito si Nassim Nicholas Taleb, employment is systematic slavery. And that's the reason why many of you have left the corporate world kasi you felt you were a slave. Ang sinasabi nyo, ang negosyante lang ang yayaman. Parating lugi ang empleyado. Hindi ho totoo yan. Because employees possess the best tool in securing a fruitful future. What is that? A regular income. Only employees have regular income. Ang negosyante wala niyan. Kami, kikita lang kami pag may naiwan. Ang empleyado, parati yung pera. Ba't parati walang pera ang empleyado? Kasi mali lang pag-manage natin ng pera. Kung sana hindi kayo ubuser, di ba? Marami sana kayong pera today. Kung binilang nyo lahat ng perang inubos nyo sa Lazada at sa Shopee, uy, marami rin yun, di ba? Malaki na sana pera ninyo, di ba? Kung hindi nyo sana inubos 13th month nyo, for 5 years, dami nyo ng pera. Kami, wala kami nun. Wala akong 13th month. Empleyado ko, meron. So I need you to understand, I will discuss this dun sa entrepreneurship training, that employees are actually entrepreneurs. They sell their services to a company, one company, and they decide the profit. Pag magaling sila, umaakyat yung profit. And dapat pagalingan na lang ito pagdala ng pera. To those who are still employees, I want you to understand na if you want to become an entrepreneur, there are two skills that you need to master before you become an entrepreneur. Financial management and people management. Kung masama ang ugali mo sa pera habang empleyado ka pa, ang suggestion ko, huwag kang magnegosyo. Maubos pera mo. Now, how can I say that? Yun ang nangyari sa akin. When I left, I had bad financial habits. So I struggled for 4 years. It took God 4 years to change my habit. So kayo, pag nasa employment pa kayo, learn that habit. And then learn to manage people. Lastly, sabi nila, entrepreneurship is a smart way to make money. Anong smart way? Uy, relax lang ako, di ba? Alam mo itong picture na to nakagayo, smart work versus hard work. Alam mo, hindi to smart, ito bobo lang siya. Paano bobo? Pwede ka rin bumili ng trolley Pwede hindi mo ginawa. Hindi siya hard work, bobo siya. Di ba kaya pala padaliin Okay? Di ba? So, let me say this. You are never smart unless you are willing to work hard. Entrepreneurs must work hard because nobody will work harder than him kumpara sa
Smart.
Okay? Your employees will not work as hard as you. Kaya dapat ikaw magtrabaho. Be willing to work 24/7. Be willing to fill up for your employees. Be willing to do what is necessary to grow your business, to protect and grow it. So those are the 7 fallacies na I need you to understand. I need you to know na mali sila. Okay? And I'm telling you kung ano tama. And that's the reason why I titled this entrepreneurship, Demystified and Clarified. As I end lang because dapat ang talk ko 1 hour lang. In fact, I've extended already. And thank you for listening. Let me now answer this question. Why should we become entrepreneurs now? Ang sagot ko, we have no choice. The pandemic destroyed a lot of businesses. The big corporations cannot rehire people kasi walang merkado Some OFWs have to come home. We have no choice. Kailangan na tayo maging negosyante. However, let me encourage you. I believe this is the best time to become an entrepreneur. Now, why do I say that? Before the pandemic, I feel bad about the big companies. SM, Ayala, Robinson. I also feel bad towards McDonald's, Jollibee. Bakit? Di ba pag dumadating sila, nawawala yung maliliit? Kasi yung mga tao pupunta doon. Pag dumating sa mall, nawawala ang maliliit na mga tindahan. And I felt bad for the small guys. Today, wala nang pupunta ng mall. Kayo, sanay na kayo sa online shopping. Would you still magtitingin pa ba kayo sa mall? Di ba mas maraming choices sa online shopping, di ba? Mas madali pa. So ano mangyayari sa mall in the future? I don't know. Alam ko lang nasasanay ang tao sa online shopping. And maganda pa, your choices are unlimited. So now the malls, mahirapan mag-attract ng tenants. Pag nahirapan sila, saan pupunta dapat ang maliliit na mga negosyante? You now set up a restaurant, a repair shop in your community. Since hindi na sila pupunta ngayon sa mall, pwede kang gumawa ngayon. Kung taga Batangas ka, isang syudad, gawa ka doon. Kasi hindi pupunta sa mall yun Pupunta yun sa kapitbahay nila. This is the best time for the small guys to start. In fact, happy ako sa COVID. For that reason, it leveled the playing field. Pare-pareho na lang tayo. Nobody can dominate. Who will go to Jollibee and McDonald's? Ang hirap pumasok. May face shield ka, maghuhugas ka pa, bibigay ka pa. Taba, naka-face shield ka, papasok ka lang, itatanggalin mo naman yung face shield pag kumain ka. Pero pagpasok mo, dapat naka-face shield ka. Diba? Pero sa karinderya, naka-face shield ka ba? Wala ka pang ang mask Diba? Sarapan lang nyo. This is the time to start a business. The big guys cannot compete. So we need to consider entrepreneurship. However, there is a proper way of growing a business, and the plant is the best model. Okay? But let me end here. Before I end, I like to leave you with an idea of entrepreneurship that you should remember. Whether you join me sa Entrepreneur's Journey to Fruitfulness or not, I want you to remember this to help you. Entrepreneurs do not wait for opportunities to come. They create them from the things they have in your hands. So some of you are asking, anong magandang negosyong pasukan? I'd like you to change your question. Ang question is, anong meron na ako? Anong meron na ako? Kasi mas madali magsimula ko anong meron ka. OFW ka ba? Ang tanong ko, anong trabaho mo sa abroad? Sabi mo na sa construction, no? Pagbalik mo sa probinsya mo, magtayo ka ng construction company. Maski maliit lang. Yung experience mo, yun ang alam mo eh. Tapos, merong pinamanang tindahan sa yung nanay mo, pero ayaw mo sa tindahan. Kasi pangit, hindi sexy. Pero meron na pwedeng pagsimulan, di ba? Okay, hindi mo importante paano magsimula. Importante paano lumaki. You create opportunities with what you have already. I created the Entrepreneur's Journey to Fruitfulness, which will run on October 16, 5 weeks siya, because burden ako sa mga Pilipino. Wala nang trabaho. Kawawa naman. Maraming magugutom. So the lessons we will have are entrepreneurship defined, meaning that today I corrected wrong teachings. So first lesson, I will tell you naman anong totoong entrepreneurship. Kasi naniniwala ako eh. Kung tama na definition ginamit mo, tama rin yung action mo. Pero kung mali yung definition mo, mali din yung action mo. Like for example, many people would say, entrepreneurship is freedom. So nagsisimula pa lang namamasyal. Kasi yun definition niya eh. So if I can help you understand it better, you can act better. And then we'll talk about the purpose of business. Ano ba talaga ang idea of business? Diyan, we will start to understand how you take an idea and convert it into business. Pero this is still part of the second lesson. The third lesson will be the responsibility of a business steward. Ano ba ang dapat gawin ng isang negosyante para mapalaki niya negosyo niya? The fourth lesson is building a profitable business. The essence of business is to make more money from the money you have already. Ulitin ko, remember this, okay? Ulitin ko. The essence of business is to make more money from the money you have already. So hindi mo kailangan umutang. Kasi ang gusto mo lang gawin, gumawa ng pera sa may pera ka na. Yung iba napapahamak kasi umutang. Now what's the problem? Umutang siya, wala siyang abilidad para gamitin yung pera, kaya nawala. You understand what I'm telling you? Okay? Hindi pera importante, abilidad. So we will discuss that. And lastly, the essential traits of an entrepreneur. Ito ugali. One of the things I will teach you is abilities means skills and character. One of the things na talagang hindi pinag-aaralan ng entrepreneur, tamang pag-uugali. I really believe we succeeded because God taught me tamang pang-uugali. To be simple, to work hard, to save, to persevere, and I'll tell you many stories. So that will run on October 16 hanggang November 13. Okay, this is the schedule. Alam mo, I'll answer any question you ask today. But this may be enough for you, itong training na to. Itong 200 pesos. Salamat, nakipagkape ka sa akin. Okay? This may be enough for you. And I'm happy na nakapag-share ako sa inyo. But if you really want to understand how to do business, I developed this so that I can pass on to you what God has taught me. I made it cheap. Marami akong kaibigan nagsasabi, Dong, mura ng webinar mo. Sige lang. Hindi man importante yon. Kasi may negosyo naman ako. Ang importante, mapasa ko sa ibang tao. Sana I can help you become successful entrepreneurs. When we do that, we make a better country. And then lastly, if you are interested, I did not talk about my books because I did not want to waste your time, but I have books. Maybe some of you have read that. Pag gusto nyong bumili, you call Ryan Cagadas. Okay? Yan yung number niya and he will arrange that. If you like what you've heard and want to hear more, you know, I'm in Facebook, I'm in YouTube. I now put concepts in video para continually to teach people. Meron akong bagong pinost recently. Bakit mo sinangla ang ATM mo? Ang daming nag-react. Nagalit pa sila. Bakit ko raw sila pinapakialaman? Okay? Okay. But anyway, now, marami hong salamat. Tapos na ako. And I'll open the floor for question and answer.